Good morning, a live look at Washington, D.C., the Capitol there with the flags flying. One of the people who often hangs out in that building is hanging out in our studios this morning. Congressman Bera joins us here once again. Congressman, thank you.
Glad to be back, Paul.
I said at the top of the hour, Republican or Democrat, I appreciate how available you are to the media and how you obviously work very hard when you're in town to let people know what's going on.
Well, it's incredibly important. That's core to my job as a representative. I work for the people here in Sacramento County, so to get out there and just listen to them and hear their issues and the concerns. And there's no bigger concern right now than how dry the weather's been.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You're in town for a week here, and you are later today at a workshop dealing with drought and letting people know what resources are available. I'm concerned because I'm probably going to let the backyard die. We're not going to plant our garden, but I mean, we're talking about people's livelihoods. In particular, we're talking about resources for farmers and people who need it professionally.
Absolutely. So, people forget that in Sacramento County, as we go to the East County, we have a lot of cattlemen, we've got a lot of farmers out there and so forth, and this drought is really impacting them. A lot of folks have been having to sell off their herds and so forth. So we're glad that we were able to get the emergency relief funding in this current budget, but we want to make sure that those small business owners and those farmers know what's available to them. So we're doing a workshop today at 1:30 down in Elk Grove, working with the Sacramento County Farm Bureau, with the local chambers, to get folks out there. We'll have the Department of Agriculture with us. We'll have the Small Business Administration, letting people know what emergency measures are available for them.
And I'm just curious, what kind of relief is there? I mean, what are we going to be able to do for, again, ranchers and farmers?
Well, so a couple things that are out there. Since they're going to have to sell off some of their herds, there'll be relief in terms of small loans and things like that. There'll be some ways to forgive those loans. There'll also be some emergency measures if they need to get to groundwater to dig wells and so forth. So things like that are normally not available to folks.
Okay. And the legislation that was passed, that is just making some federal money available to us here in California?
It is. So, and again, we're pushing the president to declare a state of emergency here in California as well.
And it was just out talking with the governor. Are we making headway there? I mean, is that likely to happen, you think?
Go out to Folsom Dam, or Folsom Lake, if they haven't been out there. It is a state of emergency.
Yeah,
and it's not just the farmers and the small business owners. 500,000 local residents depend on Folsom Lake for their drinking water.
Okay, great. And again, we'll have details again about that workshop here in a little bit. While we have you here, there are not a lot of legislators who are physicians. Do you know how many there are, by the way?
There's 19 of us in Congress,
okay.
Really 3 Democratic doctors.
Okay, so it's a good chance to talk about broadly Obamacare, but in particular Covered California. It is held up as the most successful state program that I'm hearing at the national level. I know we've signed up more than any other state. How many of those are, Medi-Cal sign-ups versus people who are, the goal always was to get people into private health exchanges?
Absolutely. Well, and
do we know?
Well, I've always said that this is not the solution that I would have come up with, but it is now the law, so let's fix it, let's make it better. It's going to always be hard to reach those uninsured folks that didn't have insurance. So let's do this slowly. Let's get it right. Let's bring those folks in. We pushed the administration to get a sense of how many of these are newly insured folks versus folks that previously had health insurance. Of the 3.3 million, those are folks that are getting coverage through the exchange. So those aren't the Medicaid or Medi-Cal folks. But how many of those folks were folks that had individual insurance on the marketplace and now are just switching over?
Right, yeah.
And those are questions that we're asking the administration.
Oh, and another critical question is, what are the demographics of the new sign-ups?
Absolutely.
Because, if we're not getting young, healthy people younger than you and me signing up for this, the whole thing doesn't stand. We need their money.
Well, what we have to do is we've got to create a risk pool. So you've got to get those younger lives in there.
And do we have those numbers? Do we know if the young people are signing up?
But off the top of my head, I think it's about 25% of the folks that have signed up. But those numbers have to be higher because disproportionately, those are the folks that are uninsured as well. So, we've got to do a better job getting out there. And again, we're pushing the administration to say, let's do this slowly. Let's get it right. Let's get folks in the exchanges.
Okay, we need to go. I got one hardball question for you. You ready?
Okay.
Would you vote yes or no if it came down to the government bailing out the insurance companies because they got stuck with these policies and not enough young people?
Well, we've got to be very careful with how we're spending the government's resources right now. And, you have these risk corridors. I think we have to be flexible here. So if not enough folks are signing up, let's work together as Democrats and Republicans. Let's fix this. Let's make this better. We've got a bill out there. with Republican doctor Charles Bustani that actually delays some of these fee increases, these taxes on small businesses, seniors, and families, and says, look, now's not a time to increase any costs of health care. In fact, now's the time to lower costs.
Delays through legislation rather than an executive order. That'd be something.
Well, the president has to work with Congress.
Yeah, Dr. Bera, thank you very much. It's great to have you come into our studio. Bethany.
All right, you guys, thank you. Want to make sure you know the Drought Resources Workshop is happening today. It's going to be at 1:30 at the